Welcome, everyone. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here for this explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fundamental, honestly incredibly empowering skill in the tech world, building and launching a web page. But listen, we're not just going to stare at lines of code. We're going to explore the entire professional life cycle of web development. By the time we wrap up, you'll have a crystal clear, credible understanding of exactly how a website goes from a tiny local idea to a live, polished online presence.
Okay, let's dive right into this. You know, it's incredibly tempting to think that once you type out some code and your web page magically pops up in your laptop's browser, you're totally finished, right? Well, as we'll see today, just because a page appears on your screen absolutely does not mean it's ready for real users. A truly complete web page requires a much more rigorous standard of care.
So here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll kick things off with the overall construction process. Then, we'll break down the big three: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Finally, we'll wrap up by covering testing, validation, and getting that site published.
All right, part 1, the web page construction process.
Building a website is a highly structured professional workflow. It's way more than just typing text onto a blank screen. Understanding this whole process gives you a really clear mental scaffolding for how the different coding languages we're about to cover actually divide up the labor. These criteria, they are the non-negotiable professional standards we'll be aiming for today. A finished page literally must be organized so files don't just break randomly. It has to be readable and functional so people can actually use it. Plus, it needs to be accessible to assistive technologies, rigorously tested across different devices, and completely validated against coding standards. Only then is it actually ready for the real world.
Moving on to part 2, structure and meaning, HTML.
HTML is what provides the essential foundation of the page. It's what allows browsers and search engines to actually make sense of what's there. And that brings us to a really cool concept: semantic HTML. Now, what's really interesting about this is that when you build a page, you shouldn't just use a heading element to make your text look big and bold. That's a common rookie mistake. Instead, developers choose elements that describe the actual underlying role of the content. You use a main heading because it introduces a topic. You use a navigation area specifically for your links. This semantic approach makes your code so much easier for other developers to read, and it's absolutely vital for accessibility because it allows assistive technologies to help users navigate through the content logically.
Of course, HTML doesn't just live in isolation. Even a tiny website involves multiple files, and how you organize them is critical to the whole operation. Your homepage is almost always named index.html because web servers automatically hunt for that specific starting page. From there, you really need to use clear, specific folders for your CSS, your images, and your JavaScript. Oh, and here is a super practical tip for you. Always use clear file names without spaces. Seriously, naming a file profile-photo.jpg with a hyphen instead of a space is going to save you from a massive headache of broken links and missing files later on when you're trying to connect everything together.
Okay, part 3, layout and appearance, CSS.
Once our structure is solidly in place, we bring in CSS. This is the language that takes plain, boring HTML and makes it attractive and consistent. And this brilliantly illustrates how that works. In practice, a CSS rule uses properties to control specific visual features. You've got color for your text, but hey, you got to make sure the contrast is high enough so people can actually read it. Then you have margin for the space outside an element and padding for the space inside. And when we talk about width, you need to be incredibly careful. Setting a rigid, fixed width might look amazing on your big laptop screen, but it can completely wreck your display on a mobile phone. So CSS is super powerful, but it definitely requires careful, user-focused design choices.
That whole mobile display issue leads us right into a major concept: responsive adjustments. A modern website layout literally cannot be rigid. CSS uses something incredibly clever called media queries to apply different styles depending on how wide the device's screen is. So imagine a user's on a desktop. They might see a nice layout with multiple columns of text. But if they pull up that exact same page on a phone, a media query will gracefully shift that layout into a single neat column. This ensures the site remains totally usable without forcing the poor user to pinch, zoom, or scroll sideways just to read a sentence.
So, the crucial point here is captured perfectly in this quote. HTML should identify what the content is. CSS should control how the content looks. I really want you to anchor this golden rule. In your structure and your styling, totally separate. And I promise you, you're going to save yourself countless headaches as your web projects become bigger and more complex.
Let's jump to part 4, behavior and interactivity, JavaScript.
Think of it this way. If HTML is the sturdy foundation of a house and CSS is the fresh coat of paint, JavaScript is the electricity that brings the whole house to life. So how does it actually work behind the scenes? Well, it's usually driven by user actions. First, a user does something. Maybe they click a fancy button or type into a form. Second, JavaScript uses a bit of code called an event listener, and it does exactly what it sounds like. It literally waits for and detects that specific action. Third, the script jumps into action and dynamically triggers a result. That could be revealing some hidden content or popping up an error message. And the best part is, it does all this without requiring the entire web page to reload from scratch.
There are some incredibly smart, practical uses for JavaScript. For example, it's used for client-side form validation, which is a lifesaver because it helps users catch their own typos quickly before they even hit submit. It's also what builds those sleek drop-down menus, interactive maps, and dark mode toggles we all love. But I really need to offer a mentor's warning here. Interactivity must solve a user problem. If you just start throwing in wild animations or pop-ups simply because they look advanced or flashy, you can actually distract the user and totally ruin the usability of your site. So always ask yourself, does this actually help the user understand something more clearly?
Moving right along to part 5, testing and validation.
We have officially reached the climax of our development process. Listen, before your page ever reaches the eyes of a real user, you absolutely must run through a pre-publication checklist. First up is functionality. You literally need to click every single link and test every single form. Next is usability and accessibility. This means double-checking things like color contrast and ensuring that meaningful images have descriptive alternative text. Third is device compatibility. Remember that responsive design we talked about? You have to make sure it actually works on a real phone without any sideways scrolling. And finally, performance. Optimizing those large images so your page doesn't take forever to load. Skipping these steps, it's a surefire way to break trust and create incredibly frustrated users.
Now, to accomplish all this rigorous testing, you don't just have to cross your fingers and guess. Built right into modern browsers are things called browser developer tools. Guys, these are a developer's absolute best friend. They allow you to dive in and inspect your HTML structure, temporarily test out CSS color changes on the fly, and spot broken loading paths the second they happen. They show you exactly what the browser is reading at that exact moment, which completely takes the guesswork out of troubleshooting. It's like having X-ray vision for your web page.
And finally, part 6, publishing the final site.
All right, it's time to move our rigorously tested files off of our local computer and into a live hosting environment so the whole world can see them. Let's look at how this builds into a complete publishing lifecycle. So you finish your local testing. Great. Then you use validation tools to check your HTML and CSS for any lingering coding errors. Next, you deploy, which basically just means you move your files over to a hosting platform. But please notice, step 4. The job is definitely not done the second you hit upload. You absolutely must verify the live site, because sometimes files just behave differently on a web server than they do on your cozy local laptop.
To see exactly why that live testing is so critical, let's look at a super relatable case study from our source material about a student building a personal portfolio page. So, the student tests the site locally, and hey, it looks perfect on their laptop. But then, using those awesome browser developer tools, they simulate a phone screen and suddenly realize the layout is totally broken, and the images are massive. So they fix the CSS and shrink the images down. Then they deploy to a live server. Once it's actually live on the web, they test it again and realize, one of their images isn't loading because the file path was typed incorrectly in the HTML. Because this student tested both before and after deployment, they caught these embarrassing errors before a potential employer ever laid eyes on the site.
And that really brings us full circle to the ultimate question you have to ask yourself every single time you build a site. Is your web page organized, semantic, responsive, tested, and truly ready for the world? I really hope this explainer has given you the confidence and the strong conceptual foundation to tackle your reading and your upcoming projects with a completely professional mindset. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, and happy building!